All right, welcome back to the channel. So, having a lot of fun talking about Adrien Broner bumping his lips, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful fashion, but he calls out Regis Prograis, and Regis Prograis is having none of it. Let's talk about what Regis Prograis had in response to say in response to Adrien Broner and talks of him fighting Adrien Broner in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So we saw last week that Kevin Cunningham and Adrien Broner were back. I think they're in Florida, and Adrien Broner's back in the gym training. He must have dropped his demand for $10 million a fight, or thinking he was going to be a multi-platinum rap star, and got back to business just of training and getting himself in shape for hopefully a comeback to the boxing ring when all this COVID stuff kind of settles down and we start going with fights again. And one of the people that it's rumored that he would be interested in fighting is Regis Prograis, who is one of the best 140-pound fighters in the world. I think that he's probably maybe the second or third best a 140-pounder, definitely in the top four, along with Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, and I like to put Mikey Garcia in there because Mikey Garcia really is a 140-pounder. He's not really a 147-pounder. And I think that if the money was there for Mikey Garcia, then Mikey Garcia has the ability to beat Josh Taylor. He has the ability to beat Jose Ramirez, even though I'm not saying for sure that he would beat him, but he definitely is that level of fighter at 140 pounds. And then, of course, Regis Prograis, excuse me, man, I should have turned my phone off before I started this video, but neglected to do it. So you're going to have to watch me do it in the middle of the video because I am not editing that out. We got to keep it rolling. We got a lot of boxing to talk about today. So anyway, Adrien Broner is, a very exciting fighter. Like outside the ring is a very exciting fighter. He's somebody that is a bit of a curiosity right now, but somebody with a big name who wants to get back in there in the boxing ring. And to Adrien Broner's credit, he's never been the type of person to duck anybody. He's always been the type of guy that's going to take on the best competition and that's available to him and the people that want to fight him. And as a result, man, I don't have anything really bad to say about Adrien Broner because he's the opposite of a lot of the fighters we think is big stars in the sport of boxing, like your Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford, Vasily Lomachenko. I can just go on and on with guys that, who are considered some of the best fighters in the world, but have not or do not consistently fight the best fighters in the world. For example, with Canelo Alvarez, he is choosing between, who he's going to fight between John Ryder, Callum Smith, Sergey Deverenchenko, right? Right when you have Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade as belt holders in the same division that he holds his belt in, and he's not willing, and he doesn't seem willing to fight either one of those guys. But you got an Adrien Broner who will fight Manny Pacquiao. He'll fight Sean Porter. He'll fight Marcos Maidana. I mean, he fought Mikey Garcia, having basically drained himself down to nothing in that fight. He fought Adrian Granados. He's fought Jesse Vargas. He's the type of guy that is going to continually fight top-notch guys. So I don't have any beef with them coming back. I'm certainly hoping that the fight with Regis Prograis can take place because that's one of these. I think that the Regis Prograis, Adrien Broner fight is one of these things that could be very, very good for boxing because it is a non-title fight. A non-title fight that would draw as much interest as or more interest than many actual title fights, right? I would be more interested in seeing Adrien Broner fight Regis Prograis for no belt at 140 pounds. I'll be more interested in that fight than seeing Callum Smith fight, the WBA, the 168-pound WBA champion, to see him fight like his fight with John Ryder, right? The fight, by the way, with John Ryder that a lot of people thought he lost, But I would be more interested in seeing Regis Prograis and Adrien Broner than that fight, because you know that these guys are top. Those guys don't just have, they don't have a belt, right? But they're both former world champions. And I think that they're both close enough in skill set to make the fight interesting. Now, Regis Prograis, on the other hand, is not buying it. Regis Prograis is saying, look, a lot of people talk about fighting him. And if anybody right now is talking about, all these dudes right now talking about him, fighting him are, I think the phrase that he used is cap. I'm getting used to that, young people. I'm getting used to saying you're cap. I always feel so dishonest using slang that I pick up from my kids. But yeah, so he's saying these people, any of these fighters saying that they want to fight him are cap. And Regis Prograis says specifically Adrien Broner, like, yeah, if he wants to make the fight, he would make the fight. He doesn't believe, though, that Adrien Broner is very seriously interested, that he's seriously interested in the fight. And then Regis goes through many of the other people that said that they were going to fight him in the past. And even in reading this, because I read this article, I didn't hear him say it, but you can kind of hear the frustration in his voice, right? He uses the N word throughout, kind of like, like a true New Orleanian, right? But he also just says, he goes through a long list of people that said that they wanted to fight, but at the end of the day, they didn't want to do it. He's like Jose Ramirez. He mentioned Jose Ramirez. He talked about Adrien Broner before, when Adrien Broner was trying to fight him. But what happened with the Adrien Broner fight? Josh Taylor wasn't able to get out of the World Boxing Super Series in order to make a fight with Adrien Broner the first time. At least that's my understanding of how it went down. Now, obviously, Regis Prograis being, closely connected to the scenario would know better than I, obviously, but that was my recollection of it. But he mentions, Adrien Broner saying he wanted to fight before, and then him, getting out of, not being able to make the fight. He talks about Jose Ramirez. He and Jose Ramirez were actually in a tournament, in a semi-tournament for the to get, up for the vacant WBC belt, the belt that was vacated by Mikey Garcia. He and Jose Ramirez were supposed to fight each other. Jose Ramirez fought Jose Ramirez fought Emir Imam, and Regis Prograis fought Julius Ndungo. But the WBC, hats off to the WBC for some more BS, right? In true WBC fashion, Mauricio Suleiman and the WBC just makes that semi-tournament they have just disappear. And Bob Arum, after Jose Ramirez got his hands on the WBC belt, Bob Arum was like, nah, we don't think we're going to do the Regis Prograis fight. We're going to go somewhere else with our time. We're going to go somewhere else with the belt. Ain't that right, Mauricio? That's right, Bob. What tournament, right? So he goes through that. And then, of course, he mentions the last time that somebody pulled, was fronting on trying to fight him. And that's Maurice Hooker, where Maurice Hooker, that fight has just recently been canceled because the fight was originally supposed to be made for 140 pounds. Now, Maurice Hooker was the WBO 140-pound champion who lost his title to Jose Ramirez, who is now the WBC and the WBO 140-pound champion. But Regis Prograis was supposed to fight Maurice Hooker, and then Maurice Hooker said, I can't make 140. How about 143? Then Regis Prograis said, okay, we can make it at 143. And then Maurice Hooker comes back and says, no, I can't do 143. I can't do 143. Let's make the fight at 147. Or maybe I can get down to 145. And Regis Prograis is like, no, I'm not going up to 145, because if I go up and fight 5 pounds above 140, then and my body gets used to that weight, it's going to be too hard for me to lose weight to come back down to 140, and I might have to drain myself and that would ruin me for other fights at 140 pounds. So nah, man, I'm not doing that. So again, that is Regis Prograis. The people that have talked about fighting Regis Prograis and disappeared have been Maurice Hooker, Jose Ramirez, Adrien Broner, and somebody else. And somebody else also was, but anyway, he talks about all these people that say they want the fights with him, but when it comes down to it, he won't, they don't take the fight. And he believes that's what's going on with Adrien Broner. but he said, hey, man, I'll take the fight and I'll beat the tar out of Adrien Broner. I would love to see that fight. Obviously, I would pick Regis Prograis to beat Adrien Broner, man, but I don't think he's just going to run through and beat up Adrien Broner. I think these guys are both close to the same size. You know, if Regis Prograis was a little taller and a little longer, man, I think it really could. He would be a lot of trouble on pretty much everybody in 140 pounds. But he's just kind of like, just doesn't really have, he's not tall, he's not long. So maybe that can make the fight interesting. I don't know. But the fight's going to be interesting, but maybe that would give, Adrien Broner a better chance. Because Adrien Broner is very long. He's got he has a good jab. He's got a good straight right hand. But, the problem is he doesn't let his hands go. Anyway, I certainly hope that fight gets made. You let me know if you think it's going to get made and who you think would win the fight. Make sure that you share, like, and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, or if you are subscribed, make sure that you hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Thank you to everybody on the Patreon. Thank you to everybody who is on the who is a member to the channel and supports the live streams Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. on Sunday for OG Boxing Talk. Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.